It's a fine line trying to say, do you think you're right? Because like when I ask that, I usually mean like, think about what the assertions you've made and think
Mhm.
critically of them. And I don't want it to come off as I think you're wrong, so I'm going to be patronizing and ask you the stupid
Yeah, yeah.
question.
That was always like the fine line. Like I had a very specific tutor voice, as was explained to me by some of my students, where like I always had a voice of like that sort of sounded like I was questioning what you said, but I would do it often enough where they understood that like I wasn't questioning what they said because they were wrong. I was just questioning what they said all the time. But it was definitely a voice of like maybe you should think about that. You should think about that with yourself for a moment before you continue down this path.
It's
But
a
honestly, about half the time I used that voice, it was because I didn't actually hear what they just said, and I was like, I'm gonna give myself a second chance at this one. Let's run this back.
uh, well, that's not been well, that's been my week, and that was Nick's week a year ago,
A year
two
ago.
year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But this week,
Now I have other problems, but those aren't
yeah,
worth
our
bringing up.
our other problem is having to watch 8 episodes
No.
today.
Was it
About,
eight?
I think it was about eight. Three
It was eight,
for
yeah. Three, two, three. Yeah.
three for Pare, two for Deca, and then three again for God High School.
Yep.
I thought it was gonna be 223, and then on
I did
Hulu I
too.
saw that extra episode, and I was like, God damn, there's another one to watch. Not that I
Yep.
wasn't enjoying it, it's just that it's just another one to watch.
It was just another one to watch.
Yeah,
As we had to watch a lot of episodes and then suddenly having one more, you're just like, fuck, it will never end. But we managed to get through them all. We
yeah.
watched all of our episodes.
So
Um,
so
welcome back to ABC.
yeah, I'm Brandon,
I'm Nick.
and this is a Pararanman. Episodes 11, 12, and 13.
This is the last week I'll bring it up, but we still don't have special guest Jeffrey. I don't think he's ever coming back, so next
He
season I won't bring it up again. But since he was here at the beginning of the season, I felt compelled to mention it all throughout the season after he left us.
he did mention that his classes may have made it would have made probably were going to make it harder,
Yeah,
and they did start.
that's
On
true.
top of his computer breaking.
On top of his computer breaking. So it wasn't fully his fault, but I did feel compelled to mention all throughout this season that special guest Jeffrey has left us, and now he's gone, so we won't bring it up again until he comes back.
Which is probably, I don't know, maybe a couple months.
Yeah, or maybe like another full calendar year,
We will see.
judging by how long it took last time to get him back.
So let's go with a quick nutshell of the last 3 episodes.
Okay.
Episode 11, Kusame is dying. Everyone's
Yes.
sad. Kusame does not die.
Yes.
They fix the cars. Um,
Very, very obviously, Kosame does not die. I feel like.
yes.
Apare cries in the rain, and in the end, yeah, they fix the cars.
Yep. Episode 12. This is when things get hazy because
We begin the assault on the
that's
village.
what it was. Okay, we begin the assault.
Everyone
Um,
breaks off into pairs and encounters one of Gil's like lieutenant henchmen
yeah, little
and has like
henchman
their own little fight against
battle with
them.
them.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
and then the last episode, we fight Gil and
we
only
fight
Gil
Gil and
and
also a
stop the
train.
train.
Yes.
And then the latter half is the final stretch of the race in New York,
Yep.
and then our closing action where we get just like their life after the race,
Right. The resolution to like what is going to happen now that the race is over.
and Aparo wins.
Yeah, Apare wins. Um, which honestly, I don't know. I kind of wish there was a different winner. Let me be real.
I didn't really care.
I didn't really care, but I thought it would have been like narratively better if Apare had come second and Shaolin had won. It was just something that I was mulling over like as I was watching it. I just would have liked it a little bit more if Shaolin had won. It would have completed her whole like racer storyline, and it
Yeah,
would have given Apare a better reason to stay in America, other than just I
yeah.
want to build an airplane and I have to do it in America for some reason.
That came out of nowhere. I sometimes I forget that things like in history happen at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So the timeline is super fucking weird. I didn't look up when the airplane was built,
That's
but I
like
did look
1900s,
up
like 1904.
blood
No.
transfusions.
Yeah, when I saw the blood transfusion, I'm like, that's a little too early. I think.
So blood types were discovered by Karl Landsteiner in 1901, but blood transfusions didn't really become a thing until like 1908. And here the question mark in that sentence because there's not really like a time period where like blood transfusions are medically accepted was like a newspaper article that came out, so it's hard to say when it became a thing,
Yeah.
but it was definitely the early 1900s, which then goes against what we saw the last time we were here when we were talking about the fact that Dylan was a member of
So
the Union Army during the Civil War.
he could have just been in the army. Because
It's true.
did the uniforms change that much between?
That is a good point, but I don't know that there was another, like, we need to mobilize the army type event after the Civil War is the thing.
Spanish American War.
I don't know when that was. I'll be honest.
Let's look it up. Let's do some quick fact checking. First
Okay.
off, I forgot when the Wright brothers flew, but they flew in 1903, so that still kind of makes a little bit sense with the whole transfusions and planes.
Mhm.
Spanish.
So that also puts us somewhere in the early 1900s.
Yep, Spanish American War was 1998, so that puts it in a decent spot.
1898.
So I'm sorry, 1898. Yes, not 30 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, I feel like I would have remembered the Spanish-American War if it happened in 1998.
Yes, 1898. 1898 is when
Okay.
it happened. So it's
All
not-
right.
like,
It could have been. Yeah, it could have been the Spanish-American War.
plausible.
Yeah, and it would have made sense for somebody in the wherever he was living, the far western states of America, to be involved in that war.
Yeah.
Where I guess back in Civil War times, that probably would have still been like territories that wouldn't really have been as involved in the fighting.
Though I think there was battle in like Texas and stuff.
There was a lot of fucking battles in Texas.
Well, that's just because it's Texas. So there was a lot of battles regardless of what was going on.
That's also factual.
But there were Civil War battles there.
Yes, there was Civil War battles in Texas. There were a lot of them. It was very bloody. It was also, yeah, not very much got accomplished in them is the other thing. But anyways, so yeah, I guess it does work out to be the first decade of the 1900s, somewhere in there.
Cars are, starting to come up with their technology. They're not just weird, awkward buggies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could see this being plausible. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stamp it the plausibility.
Right.
stamp.
It works at enough of a level. There's enough consistency that we're willing to accept it.
Yeah. Even then, like the blood transfusion thing was like a little weird, but like
Right.
everything else it seemed okay. Like I didn't really think, oh, this is super this is super anachronistic. I always thought it's good enough.
Right.
But the whole winning thing, I could see Shaolin winning up being a bit better, and then having a par say so he can work on his skills some more. But overall, I didn't really care who won because at the end it didn't really become about the race anyways.
Right.
Because this is something I actually didn't like about the show, and that was Gil. Cool villain, kind of, but he was just evil, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like.
They didn't really do anything with this whole power is the way to be alive and all of that. Like his whole narrative, they never really did anything with it.
So about the theme of the show, so usually you'll have your villain be the antithesis to the theme. In this case, it really wasn't. He was just really evil and wanted to kill people, and I was just like, okay, what else?
Yeah, he wanted to kill people because he could, and that was the full stop logic that he had.
And then even more to that, why stop the race?
Yeah. So and that was the other thing. Why stop the race? And also, why crash a train full of dynamite into Chicago? Just to prove that violence is inherent in the system, but at the same time, as they pointed out, there were just better ways of going about it. Rob a whole bunch of banks, do something else. Rob banks in Chicago if that's what you want to do.
Else.
He's not really proving anything by blowing up a train station in Chicago. I mean, to be fair, Gil is sort of deranged, and therefore, I guess it sort of makes sense that his logic fails in that one.
Well,
because he killed a man in this episode over the nuanced difference between killing someone and slaughtering them.
But then the question is, why write a villain like that for the show?
Yeah, it is a good point. I think it is, like we talked about before we started the show a season ago, that having a whole show, a whole 13 episodes just about the race,
right,
is just there's not a lot of to do with that narratively.
The stakes I don't think are as high for just the race.
And we did sort of say there was going to be a lot of the show was going to be mainly them getting out of the cars and doing stuff.
Yeah. But
so I guess Gil was the reason why they had to get out of the cars.
It was, but I feel like there could have been a better reason. Gil could have still been the villain, but he needed a better motivation that tied together with the race a bit more.
Right. I did expect Gil to tie more into Dylan and TJ
I
because it
still don't
felt like,
understand how they know each other or why they're called 1003
yeah,
or the 1007 down to 1003, but now they're
right.
1007 again
Now that the 2007 again.
because of the
Um,
1007 race. Again, what's it? Why the 1000 though?
I
There's just little small things that I just don't get that the show did,
yeah,
which aren't really important to the
right.
overall scheme of the show. They're just a little weird.
Um,
Because
I did
clearly
see
Gil knew
one thing
Claudia.
that like, what's up?
Sorry, clearly like Gil knew Claudia and like
Yes.
what's and Dylan's relationship with her.
Uh-huh.
But like, why didn't Dylan and TJ know him?
Right.
Anyways,
And that was
sorry.
like the whole thing was there was this weird connection that they may have had through the 1003, and we saw that Dylan and TJ definitely knew each other in their flashback, like their joint flashback about Claudia, because they were like hanging out together and they had like a duel
TJ
back
was
in the day.
third wheeling.
Yeah, yeah. TJ was, there. Um, but yeah, like so it implies that if they were the 1003 together, then they should have known Gil, but they didn't, and Gil wasn't in any of those flashbacks. So like maybe he was just another outlaw who happened to work in like the same area that they did.
Yeah, that's something that should have been explained a bit clearer.
Hmm.
But overall, I don't think it would have changed the rest of the show.
Yeah, I don't
Just
think
just a
so.
little weird thing that I kept wanting to get answered, but never got.
I did see in those flashbacks, and it wasn't something that changed anything narratively, but it is like an interesting thing that sort of implies something dark. In all of the flashbacks, TJ's not wearing the noose. TJ
Oh,
only starts wearing the noose apparently after Claudia dies.
oh, it's some heavy lore there, Nick.
Yeah. Which implies one of two.
Yes,
One is
very
only
upsetting
mildly
things.
dark, one's way darker. The mildly dark thing is after Claudia dies, TJ,
Puts on the noose willingly.
may have like gotten, sentenced to hang from the neck until dead and then gotten away with it
The
and
other one
just
he
kept
got
the
lynched.
noose. Yeah. The other implication is, yeah, that was Claudia's noose, just way darker. We didn't see that that's how Claudia died, but there's a dark implication there. But I just sort of expected that at some point to come up. The fact that he was just casually wearing a noose it never came up, but I
Never.
just sort of expected there to be something there.
Or why is he wearing a marching band outfit?
Yeah.
But it's cool. I like it. I dig it.
Or why is he wearing the heavy ass goggles that he only takes off to fight Gil at the very end? But they never really explained why he's wearing them the rest of the time.
Just imagine with his goggles off. Oh no, he's hot.
Oh no, he's hot. I mean, they do say like his only explanation the one time he says something about it is that his eyes are too bright.
Damn, he was fucking right.
I mean, the dude was a suave motherfucker when he took him off. Although it did look weird to see it without the goggles all of a sudden.
Yeah,
He looked like a different he looked like a different person altogether.
looked a little weird, but he had cool eyes.
He did. It was very much like the nerdy girl taking off her glasses and becoming hot, where suddenly you're like, holy shit, it's a different person.
Well, it's not only she takes off her glasses, also she like undoes her hair, and then it
Right.
suddenly
Well, that's where the
becomes
sexy librarian thing.
fucking professionally styled, just by taking off the goddamn band.
Right, and shaking it slightly.
It's totally what fucking happens in real life.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, so that was the 3 episodes. Um.
Yeah, I definitely would say. I think, in my opinion, Gil was the the worst. I don't want to say worst because the worst part of the show, but
Mhm.
I still liked the show. I still thought it
Right.
was okay. It was still enjoyable. But if there is a worst part of the show, it's Gil and whatever the fuck he wanted to do.
Right. It just it felt weird and kind of out of place. And the more I think about it, like I kind of agree with you. Like there just probably was better stuff they could have done with it. I think it's
Yeah,
not that it was bad.
it wasn't awful. It just
Right.
didn't fit. It could have been better.
Right.
It could have been better. It could have been more well done.
I agree. Um, I am kind of sad that at the end of it we didn't get more of like an epilogue for each of our individual characters.
Yeah, they just kind of peace out.
It was really just a Kosame Appare Hododo epilogue, and we get to see Al go back to France. We don't really, and we know that Shaolin is going back to Los Angeles to be a racer, but we don't actually get to see what happens to her. Dylan and TJ just are not there, and
Oh, I thought they rode off into the sunset. That would have
I
been the
guess maybe
perfect ending for them.
right. I mean, that would have been cool if they'd rode off together into the sunset and like been friend rivals together again.
Say you're my homie. They're fucking funny.
That whole scene of the two of them just like cruising through the fucking desert together was a great encapsulation of their whole relationship. Their whole dynamic was amazing.
And then there's the two brothers as well.
Yeah.
We don't really know what happens to them.
So that was the other thing. So at the start of the first of the 3 episodes we watched, it starts with the brothers like rolling up on them from
Yeah.
like, I guess they were like a ways away. I did not pick up on that at all.
I thought they were there. They just weren't using the Gatling gun.
Right, and we talked about the fact that that was bullshit that they didn't break out the Gatling gun.
But yeah, now there's an actual reason why they didn't break it out. They just weren't there.
I don't remember that. Like, I don't know why they weren't there. I kind of remember their car getting shot the fuck up, but I don't. Maybe they just got like ganked by some other dudes in like a different part of the desert.
I mean, they did like roll through a fucking house. That can't be good for your car.
It's true. They did also have the slowest car, as I recall.
I mean, it's a massive fucking behemoth.
Right, with a Gatling gun.
But they don't use it again.
Like they used it one more time.
Oh, right, because they took it off. Okay, yes.
They took it off, and the one dude was just holding it and gunned that other dude. He didn't actually hit him at all, but he shot at him a whole bunch.
Oh, speaking of that little fight, I really wanted them to light the dynamite on his chest. But they didn't do that. It was right fucking there. Why not do it? Whatever.
That's true.
But, you know, that's a gripe I have. That's, you know, stupid.
I am sad that in all of the show, Hododo's tomahawk was never fucking useful.
Yeah, like, it never did anything.
He did more with that bow and arrow in that last, like, 2 episodes than he did with that tomahawk in that whole show.
I was also hoping that everyone would just, like, pick up a gun. But, like, I think Sean's like, no, I have my hands and then this bow staff. And,
I was hoping that when she got the bow staff cut in half, she was gonna go, like, Bruce Lee with the nunchucks.
No, yeah, we didn't get that. Also, something else. I was hoping that when Apare said, "Oh, I've got a special weapon for Gil," I was hoping it was just going to be a pistol. Like he just takes it out, like bang, 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 bang.
I was kind of hoping that too. I was hoping he was just gonna have a pistol like shoved in his hair, and so at some point Gil was just gonna be choking. He was just gonna whip it up, and like right in the face.
But instead, we get a little electrified net.
Yeah,
infinitely worse than the gun.
Correct. We do learn that Gil is like a god at dodging, as he dodges like
Everyone.
19 katana slashes.
And he's also a tough motherfucker.
Yeah.
But
in terms of inaccuracies, they described a shotgun as accurate. That is a word that has never ever in the history of all time been associated with a shotgun.
Maybe that
just
particular shotgun was accurate.
I mean, it just wasn't.
Also,
That's just not how shotguns work.
It looked like more like a bolt, not a bolt, but like a lever action rifle.
A lever action rifle.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's no like lever action rifle that fires pellets like that.
Right, but I think,
like that just wasn't a thing back in the day unless you were firing a shotgun.
Right, but like I think they just mixed it up. Like they mixed up the lever action and they just made it a shotgun instead.
Right. But I just thought that was amazing as he was getting shot at by a shotgun. Apart was like, oh, it has low penetration, but it's very accurate.
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Wasn't the actually he was like 30 feet away, so it's not that inaccurate. 30 feet away. Oh, maybe.
I mean, it's still a shotgun. They're not like amazingly accurate. He also wasn't using slugs, where the word accurate could be used.
But anyway,
he's using a step above birdshot. But anyways, I just the guns in the show were interesting. I mean, they were fairly historically accurate. I talked last time about like the double action, single action revolvers they were using.
And they also used the fact that they use the fact that Gil uses a revolver to their advantage, where they actually count bullets.
Oh, yeah, the 6 shot thing.
Yeah, and then it becomes instantly useless immediately afterwards. They don't ever do it again.
Well, they try to, and then I forget what he does. I think he pisses off Al and gets him to like break formation.
Yeah, or he just runs at them.
But yeah, it was I don't know. The assault on the Gil stronghold felt very weird in the whole like everyone goes on their own like individual fight versus lieutenant. none of them felt very like life or deathy. Like it never felt like anybody was actually in danger until they got to Gil. Maybe it
Yeah,
was just me.
mostly because it was Gil, and we've seen that he's the crazy motherfucker, and then the others are just there.
Right.
Part of it is that like I don't know, like it's not. I couldn't buy into the fact that they were actually in danger.
Mm.
Even when like the one dude, I forgot his name, but the shorter brother like gets shot in the fucking chest. Uh, uh like I knew that was a fucking like blood bag.
Right.
Also, I like how obvious they made his scream look a little fake.
Yeah.
That was a good little piece. But what I wanted to happen was as the guy was walking to the guy with the money, I wanted the shorter brother just to pull out a pistol and shoot him from behind.
I was thinking he was going to do that too, shoot him on the ground. Yeah. I was
Although,
expecting
to
to
be
just shoot
fair,
the dude
like
in the back as he walked by.
having him take you to Gil was kind of a smart idea.
It's true.
So there's that.
I did like that Gil was posted up in a church which had every window broken out, except conveniently for the gigantic red stained glass window directly behind Gil. Somehow all of that was fine. Every other window in that place was broken.
Gil came in and actually told him to break all the windows except for that red one for the aesthetic.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I can respect
it's a
that.
little known fact.
Yeah.
You had to watch the commentary for that.
Ah, okay. The extended edition commentary. I got it. I should have known. But yeah, it was as a whole, what would you say about the show?
It was like it was cool. It was okay.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'd recommend it like just as a general recommendation, because like if you were already watching it, I'm not gonna say stop watching it because
Hmm.
you'll probably enjoy it. But I don't know if it's like a stop like a drop everything and watch this, or even just you should watch this now.
Right.
Like if you have nothing else to watch, give it a try. You can definitely watch worse things, and that's kind of my reaction to all the shows this season was,
Hmm.
eh.
So I would say that it definitely. Okay, that's fair. Um, I would say that it definitely got better as time went on. The Gil arc was not great, but I liked the character growth through it. Like as Apari cried in the rain and actually became like a human being afterwards and was friends with people and all that. Like the show was better for it. And it was the thing that I was like kind of sad about when the show ended was like I just wanted more of
A camaraderie.
Apare and Shaolin and yeah, like the camaraderie of the group and like them hanging out and doing things and like having a race and building an airplane and like it was a good dynamic they reached there at the end. And I wish they had it sooner because that point it was really good. Up until that point, Apari was, as we brought up, kind of insufferable.
Yeah,
He was Doctor Stone, but worse in every way because he wasn't personable in any way, shape, or
he
form.
wasn't charismatic. Doctor
Yeah.
Senku is like despite being kind of awkward and super like sciencey. That's not
Mhm.
sciencey. Like bookish. Like he was a charismatic motherfucker. He was funny and he was just a joy to watch work with other people.
Right. And like he didn't Apari didn't have to dominate the show the way that Senku did. Like Senku was a leader of everyone in his show. Apari didn't need to be the leader. You know, he had Kosame and Shaolin and Al to all sort of be like more leadery types. But when he was able to actually like, interact with people, Apari was a much better character. So it's definitely a show that gets better as time goes on. And at the same time, you all do also have to contend with it has a worse arc at the very end. But like in terms of the characters, they get better as time go on. Um, See, I don't know if I would give it a general recommendation. I would say, as an overall rating, I would probably rate it. I think I would rate the highest of the three. I think I'm going to say it's like a solid 7 out of 10.
I don't know what's the best of the three. I was thinking Decadence as the best of the three.
So I'm going to give Decadence a hard cap on what rating I'm going to give it, but we'll talk about why when we get there. But Decadence's hard cap is not high enough to have it be better than uh, a Paramount, in my opinion.
For a part, maybe a 3 out of 5. Just, it was okay. It was good. It was good.
Okay.
Um, Not the best, not the worst.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, a lot of shows I really didn't feel too strongly about. But
Right.
this was okay. This was alright.
Mhm.
I enjoyed
But
watching it. I had fun while I was here.
I would
Uh,
agree. Like I
yeah.
said, I wish there was more just character interaction at the very end. I liked the characters. I
Yeah.
liked the dynamic they had. I wish we'd done more with it. I do kind of now wish that we had done more race stuff because then it could have just been them interacting with each other during the race. And like if Apari had become human in episode 9 and was just human like a normal person for the rest of it, like that would have been cool.
I don't
Like
know
they would
if
have
him
been
becoming human at episode 9 was the issue. I think making him less insufferable. Not,
yeah.
well, there's a fine line. Like he needed. How do I word this? He could have still been kind of insufferable for a bit longer, or not
Mhm.
longer, but like up until that episode, but still kind of enjoyable to watch. Be kind of a dick, maybe, because at the moment, like he was usually just kind of annoying rather than being annoying, but kind of funny.
Right.
At the very least, the want for him to be better was there, but I was hoping that that want would be positive rather than I want you to get better because right now you're really annoying, right?
Right.
But that's another. That's just the other apart, right? Other characters really fun to watch. This show had a nice cast, had a very nice cast. Yeah, overall,
they were all really fucking cool. They all had like a good personality. There was not like any like clashing of personalities. They actually built like whatever it was, 6 or 7 different characters who all had their own thing and were all like interesting to watch.
Yeah, of the shows, I think this had the best cast and my favorite characters of the bunch. By
I would say so. Yeah, I would agree. I am kind of surprised that the GM engineer chief dude. I'm surprised that his turbocharger didn't come up again.
That annoyed me. That's something else that annoyed me. There was a
setup.
There was a setup. Nick,
it was a setup, and it just was the thing that Apare built. Apare built a turbocharger for his engine. That just was that pink thing that he built on it. That just fully was what he built, was a turbocharger. And I was expecting them to bring up the fact that like Apare and that GM dude talked about like he was becoming an engineer again, and they talked about the turbocharger that he wanted to put in Dylan's car, and then Apare like supersized it and put it in his car. Because that just was a turbocharger. That's what they look like. That's how they function, essentially. They don't do the huge blast of steam and stop a train or anything like that, but it is a increased power for your engine output.
Oh, but wait, real quick. People behind that car got fucking lobstered.
Oh yeah,
they got boiled alive.
Yes, correct. But yeah, I was expecting that to like come up at some point. The fact that Apare just built a turbocharger for his engine, and like that's what the other dude was talking about back then, was it was a turbocharger. So I was expecting that to, like that was going to be the connection, was Apare was going to talk to that dude and like learn about the turbocharger and build one for his engine. It just never came up, and like it just felt weird. But I just wanted to bring that up. That was what he had built, was a turbocharger, and that was probably what the payoff was supposed to be to that setup. But they just never did it for some reason, and I don't know why.
No idea.
I mean, maybe when they were drawing up like the storyboard for it, originally there was going to be the payoff, and after they did that episode, but before they got to this episode, they just decided to cut that part. So they had it in the old episode already, but they were like, all the future episodes, we're just going to remove that. It's not worth doing. They just cut it all out, and Apare just built it himself.
Possibly.
Is what I'm assuming was the decision, but
no idea.
Yeah, it felt weird.
No idea. But that was part of Ranman. That was the show. I don't see a second season happening, not because it's not good, but because the show's done.
Yeah,
I'm glad. The show's done. It was a nice little package, much like Decadence, where the show's also done.
It ends with a little mini epilogue of we see that they send letters back home. Apare just sends Apare okay to his sister, I assume. And Kosame sends his sister more of an explanation of like, yeah, we're doing okay. We won this race. I'm going to stay here.
That's all fiance to go marry some other dude.
Yeah. So it doesn't really end with an epilogue that says there will be a second season. It just sort of ends with an epilogue that says like they're doing okay, and they're they enjoy what they do. So I don't think there'll be a second season either. But it was a good show. I don't think it needs a second season.
Neither do I.
I'm happy with where it ended. I don't need to see them build an airplane and go fly to France to meet Al.
If anything, the way to make the second season work is to be about airplanes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be.
Yeah.
It would have to be them building an airplane, but at the same time, like, would it then just be them building an airplane for 9 episodes and then flying it across the Atlantic to go see Al?
They're actually the reason why Amelia Earhart died.
They crashed into her along the way.
No, they built her airplane. That was a dark joke. Anyways, let's talk about
Very
Decadence.
dark.
So,
All right.
Decadence. Let me try to nutshell this again. Um, oh god, Kubaragi's
There were
old
2 episodes.
yes, Kubaragi's old avatar dies.
Yep.
Because fucking Mugen is there. And this is at the end of the
Last episode that we talked about.
yes. So Natsume's in danger, but Kabaragi uses his other avatar to kind of immobilize, kill the Mugen's avatar.
And he shoves a spear through the dude's chest. That means Avatar is dead.
But overall, we find out that also we have another important piece, which is the big ass alien Gadol.
Yeah, the Super Gadol
Gadol's
has
attacking.
no control chip, which we kind of knew.
Yeah, because it's an actual legit organic Gadol.
Right.
And it's going to attack Decadence. And Decadence tries to defend itself by, punching it like it usually does. It doesn't work. And the Gadol shoots a beam up at the ship.
Spaceship, yeah.
It's a spaceship, yeah. So now the system's like, yo, this is scary. We're just going to destroy everything.
Right.
We're just going to end it all.
We're just going to remove the pressure, whatever, atmospheric thing, destroy everything, and then rebuild it. Everybody should log out.
Yep.
Kaburagi can't log out because he's a bug and also stuck on Earth. So
Well, I mean, he can log out, but his guy's on Earth.
I mean, he can log out, but he's still on Earth, so we can't log out back to the ship. Is what I meant.
So Jill tells them that he can connect to Decadence and control it and fight the Super Gadol that way.
Right.
The end episode is him actually connecting to it, but it doesn't turn on. The last episode is getting the Gadol or getting the Decadence to actually turn on, getting the Kabudence to actually turn on, and then build a big ass weapon for it to shoot the big Gadol through the chest with the big ass weapon.
Yes.
And then it dies. And then the show ends. The Kabudence gets destroyed, and Kaburagi's little robot guy dies.
Yes.
Then we get to the epilogue. He's alive again.
Yeah. Very disappointing epilogue. And half of the reason why I'm capping how well I'm going to rate this show is because that
the last 5 seconds.
Last 5 seconds, it just fucking destroyed the show again. But yeah, it's I mean, I liked most of the ending, excluding the epilogue. It was a pretty good ending. Yeah. It had
It kind of reminded me of Gurren Lagann Light, where you're doing you have this crazy drill and you're about to just shoot it into a fucking monster. You have everyone working together and trying their best. So I like those pieces. While Kaburagi's talking to the system, I didn't really like that because the system's like, you're gonna die, and Kabu's like, fuck you, I'm gonna do the best I can, and the system's like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
And
have
then
fun.
That's it. And then all of a sudden, well, this ties into I think one reason why you capped it, Nick, is at the end, the system isn't the system anymore. The old commander becomes the supreme commander now for some reason, and Decadence just completely changed to a farming simulator. For some reason, there's no change.
Yeah, nothing.
We don't know
really
what caused the change.
Yeah.
I also don't know why the stopgap was there for the little shrinky thing, right? Not the shrinky thing, but the antimatter field.
Oh yeah, the pressure
why
thing,
is it
whatever
that
it was.
Once you kill the big Gadol, it just stops?
Yeah.
Was it we will use it to kill the thing, or was it I didn't get that part. That part was a little annoying.
I mean, really, the reason, my full reason for capping it is the fact that, the existence of the system is never explained, and it was always the thing that bugged me the most about this whole show. Was, they explained a really, really long time ago in, episode 4 or something about, the world was going to be destroyed, so everybody turned into those, robot things, and we went into space, and then we created this game, Decadence, where we killed the Gadol, which I guess I originally thought they were just a creature that existed on Earth, and this was the gamified way of killing them all off of Earth so we could re-inhabit at some point. But then we learned that they just sort of make them themselves. So that was also not the point. So I never really understood what was the purpose of the existence of the system.
So
the game as a whole.
I understood it, which doesn't have all the evidence, was that Decadence was just a game abnegation that it could do. It's just something to fuck around with. Because, they're fucking robots that live forever. What the fuck else are they going to do?
I mean, but like, why have it be a real thing on Earth? Like, why not just have it be a game? You know?
That not entirely sure. I don't know. And then the system piece was that basically humans fucked everything up, so they needed something to oversee what they do, and that was the system. But like, aside from the fact that Kabu sees the fucked up cities, that's all we really get for as evidence for that assertion. Was that's why the system exists, is because humans fucked it up, and now the robots they need the system to look after them and make sure they don't fuck up again. But that was it. There's not really much else. There's not much. There's no other facts that the show gives us that supports that.
I mean, that's getting a little into like a Skynet. Like it metabolized somehow into becoming a more controlling system than what it should have originally been. Like, what's the point in creating a system to oversee you if there's no way of preventing it from going insane? Like, it sort of defeats the purpose.
Right. I
did
like
really like.
Could have been like a set of rules. That the system follows, and like and as you add more rules to it, it just becomes way too constraining. And there's like the other commanders, like there's Mugen and Yujin, who don't want the rules to change. That would have been like a good representation of what the system is sometimes rules have to be removed or added as time changes because things change. But instead it's just a crazy robot thing.
Yeah. I didn't really like when Kabu was talking to the System Prime, or whatever you want to call it, inside of Decadence, where it was like, haha, bugs are actually allowable by the system. Everything that you do is futile. All of this other garbage. Everything is predictable. Like, it felt very like the end result of this was going to be like the Matrix, where like it's all a simulation. We know everything. We control everything, and it was very. It just felt dumb. It just felt very like the system is all knowing and therefore can control everything, and everything you do is futile. Ha ha ha. And Kabu's doing the whole classic like, I'm going to overcome the system through sheer hard effort because you can't know everything. Where like the system should have just admitted like, yeah, things are weird.
I feel like the system should have said instead, there's like there's okay, what's the word for it? A margin of error for bugs.
There are known knowns and there are known unknowns, but there are also unknown unknowns. Shit, we don't know. We don't know.
But yeah, overall, I didn't like the explanation for the system. That was a bit upsetting.
I didn't really like that. Yeah, like you said, when they defeat the Omega Gadol or whatever it was called,
things are just kind of fixed.
Yeah, things are just better, and like the system isn't defeated. Like it should still exist. It was going to destroy the planet, so it's still
there
around conceivably.
But in the epilogue, it's just like all of a sudden, like
it just doesn't exist. Yeah.
Future Bro is just like, cool. Now I'm Super Commander. Things are much better now. Go farm with the humans.
We're playing Log Horizon and all of us, or not Log Horizon.
Fucking Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Animal Crossing.
With Pokemon, because you can raise Gadol.
No, yeah, because you can. Yeah, well, you get to go to the Gadol Park and have fun with them. I don't know if you could raise them. Maybe you can.
They said you could raise Gadol. You could raise
okay. Yeah, so you can raise old Gadol. I mean, it literally is Harvest Moon. Build a little farm, buy Gadol, raise them on your farm.
It's Harvest Moon mixed with God, what's the name? Monster Rancher.
Yeah, that is a good way of putting it together. It's Viva Pinata. No.
They just have the fucking Gadol, fucking the buffalo bushes.
Exactly.
Didn't your Pinatas die once they did that?
After they had sex in the bushes and made baby pinatas? I don't think so. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I played Baby Pinata. Maybe in the first one and not in the second one. I don't remember though. We do get to see the size of the robot people relative to actual people.
They're pretty big.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
They're like anywhere from 3/4 of the size of humans up to like 1.5 humans.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Seeing a Kaburagi robot about the size of me, I'd be a little scared. That thing's big. Yeah. That thing's chunky. That thing's gonna fuck me up. The thing has a fucking jetpack.
It's true. I did like the very fast connection between when Donatello like sacrificed his avatar into the Omega Gadol to prevent the laser beam. I liked the very quick return to actual Donatello as he like woke up from his avatar.
Because
it was his avatar because he's not dead.
That's a sad thing to think that like that's how the world works. So like you have no reason to believe he's actually dead. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like for a second there,
And it was one of those things, like, as you're watching him die, you're like, oh, he's sacrificing his life. Like, it's such a touching thing of, like, you're sacrificing your life so that the laser doesn't kill us all. And all of the robots are like, we're going to toast to him with Sarkozy's special Oxyon liquor. And then you see him wake up. He's like, yeah, that was my avatar that died. I'm still
I'm
good,
still right
guys.
here.
That was a good, like, very fast, like, from seeing him die to him being still alive, because, like you said, that's how the world works. It was very fast, like, joke, essentially, and I think it worked well, because even I kind of, like, for a second forgot that was how the world worked.
Yeah, this is unlike the thing with well, not the Kasami thing. I was thinking of someone else dying. I don't think that happened this time around, or this in any of the shows. But it was just a quick thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's not something that pissed me off. Also, something I was wrong about. Pipe's just fucking dead. Pipe's gone, completely gone.
Yeah.
Didn't bring back. Completely didn't bring back.
I kind of thought they might after we saw the Gadol Park and all of that. I kind of, for a second, thought that we might also bring back Pipe. Nope, he's just gone.
He's completely dead.
We made a little keychain out of his image, and yeah, he's gone.
Oh, yeah, Natsume now runs at the not a theme park, but like
a tour adventure thing.
She's a tour guide, yeah.
Yeah. An experience guide, because she went and took somebody kind of hang gliding, kind of helicoptering. It's sort of hard to explain what they were doing.
Yeah, really. So this isn't like a rat to rag on the show, but of the things you could do, like, it's just easier to make a hang glider and not a helicopter thing. Like, why not just hang glide?
Yeah,
but I don't know. She needs to
it
use
was a little weird
that
she had her hand thing, and it was like into the form of like the Go-Go Gadget helicopter.
Yeah.
And then she just had somebody like bungee corded to herself. And like, if I was that person, I'd be like, I am not going to jump off this fucking cliff and trust your helicopter thing to support both of us together.
I mean, the thing
was, this.
It was a robot, like, so he could survive. If anything, she wouldn't have.
Yeah, she would be fucking dead. But still, just like on principle, you, me, and your one Go-Go Gadget helicopter arm. Fuck that. I am not jumping off this cliff. But yeah, it was watching the city cave in. First of all, I expected the city to be more fucked up. Like, we saw Decadence like cave in. A lot of that city was still looking pretty okay. Like, I was expecting that city to be destroyed. Like, it had fully, like, all of Decadence was like falling on top of it, and yet somehow like most of that city seemed unaffected by it. But then we also have Kaburagi got crushed and died, and like, it was sort of, in my opinion, like a good ending for him. Like, that was a good resolution of, to save the thing that he hated, like at the very beginning of the show, he then sacrificed his life, was like a good ending to his character arc. So the fact that they brought him back alive at the very end in the epilogue kind of pissed me off, because it sort of ruined it.
What pissed me off more is that file is just read for some reason. So the reason they bring it, the way they bring it back is using a backup that Jill took when Kaburagi was still alive, because there's a 3-year gap in between the epilogue.
Because in order to take over the Decadence system, Kaburagi had to be updated, so Jill had to mess with his android internals. And as part of that, apparently she saved a backup of his personality.
And just completely forgot about it for 3 years.
Yeah, and somehow forgot about it for 3 years.
Despite the fact that file was glowing red the entire time. And then he just.
Well, she didn't have her. She didn't have her Palm Pilot, or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
At least that was why. At least there's a reason for it. I can see that. Yeah.
I just remember that. That was what it was because the Supreme Commander found her little Palm Pilot thing and brought it to her, and that was when they saw the red file.
There you go. Yeah. I feel like another resolution I would have liked more was Kaburagi taking the fathership role for Natsume, and like surviving, but becoming a father. Mm-hmm. If that was the case, so you can't use the limiter, because we know that the limiter kills you once you use it, or not once you use it, but like kills you if
you die.
You die. But that doesn't actually. Now that I think about it, the whole limiter thing doesn't fucking matter, because he wasn't his avatar.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah.
So, like, yeah. I would have liked it more if it ended with Kaburagi being stuck in the Decadence.
Oh, yeah, he could have done that.
Like, he just was the system for the rest of time. And, like, Natsume knew that he was the system.
The system inside Decadence, like
Yeah,
Decadence or
yeah.
Convergence.
Because it seemed like when the system left, when the system prime, the thing he was talking to, when it left, it gave him like full control over Decadence. So if he was then the system that controlled Decadence, the Decadence system, that would have been interesting. And like he was just stuck in there forever.
Yeah, I could see
But like
that.
that was how he could interact with people.
That'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting way to do it. He just turns off the antimatter or anti-gravity field in the core every once in a while just to fuck with them.
That'd be a dick thing to do.
I mean, what are they gonna do? Destroy Decadence?
Yes, we're going to destroy it again. Uh, I did like that in like the epilogue, farming town that they build. They also build like the gladiator arena, and it's modeled after the gladiator arena that they had in the Gadol Feces prison.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Where it had,
well, it can't be because that's underwater. Well, it's underwater now.
yeah, it's under the lake. I mean, it was under the lake to begin with.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's flooded. It's flooded now. Most
Oh
likely.
yeah, it's probably flooded now because they blew a giant hole through the middle of it.
Yeah, they have the little still the shitty crushers that couldn't crush shit.
Yeah,
Literally. But that aside, what would you give it? And I would give it a 3 out of 5.
I am going to, because of the deductions of not explaining the system and the shitty epilogue, I am only going to give it a 6.5. I think there's a lot of the show that I did like. I think I liked the show holistically a lot. And I think if I was just rating it on like what they presented, I would probably say 7 or 8 out of 10. Probably closer to 8. Um, but I think for the things they didn't explain and the shitty epilogue, I just couldn't. It's not that I didn't enjoy the show, because like I said, everything in the show was fine. I just wish there was more that they had explained. And so I just can't give it as high a rating. Like I can't say it's an 8 out of 10 show when I'm left with such a crucial, like not understanding a very major component of the show at the very end of it.
Yeah, we need more for the. We need to know more of the system to understand exactly what the show wants to tell us. Because this latter, I think before this, it was a lot about Natsume trying to overcome herself and become a better person. And then after that, we tackle the system, and we need to know what it is because it's crucial to this arc and the theme of this arc, and we didn't completely understand.
Right. And like all the stuff in the arc about like fighting the system and dealing with it, trying to prevent them from like getting back to decadence and get Kaburagi's avatar and all the stuff like inside of the prison with like the prison guards and all that. Like all the versus the system stuff that we saw was good. It was just the stuff that we didn't ever learn, which I really wanted to know because I felt like it was an important thing to know, like why everything was the way it was. Like why was there a facility producing Gaddles? Is like a pretty critical component to it. Because like yeah, we took it down. Yeah, we prevented all the Gaddles from being made. But why were they being made to begin with? Like, what was the point of them?
There's some world building that's missing in order to kind of capture everything that we want to know.
Exactly. So I think I would recommend the show because it was good. It was a good show and I really liked it. But I think as a holistic rating of everything and my overall like feeling of it, I can really only give it a 6.5 out of 10 because like for the stuff they didn't talk about, there was just some stuff that they really needed to, and they didn't need that epilogue.
Yeah. Oh god, I can relate to getting a bad taste in your mouth because of an epilogue. Luckily, this one didn't piss me off. Like
what was it? Surizuri Children?
No, it was Tsukikakire.
That's what it was.
God damn, that fucking annoyed me. Anyways, I guess I'll probably talk about that some other time. But I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I don't know if I would recommend it. Like, not because it was a bad show, but like when I want to recommend something, like I want to like. Usually when I feel like I want to recommend a show, I'm like really giddy about it because I really really like the show or there's something that I really loved about it. And this one, like I liked it, but nothing makes me want to recommend it. Just to, like go up to someone and say, "Hey, you should watch the show."
I mean, I wouldn't go up to just anybody and recommend the show, but like
I wouldn't go up to Alex and say, "You should go watch the show." Basically.
Yeah. If I was talking to somebody who watched a respectable amount of anime, like they had a good knowledge of like all of the classics, and like there wasn't some like, you know, I need to recommend you like an easy to start with show. Like I can recommend them something where, yeah, it's not super beginner to anime friendly. Um, I don't know. It was a good enough narrative, even if there was some stuff that I wish they explained. Like it was a good enough narrative. The characters were pretty good. At least Kaburagi and Natsume were both pretty good characters. Um, I felt like it dealt with Natsume's whole like originally her like inferiority thing with
Yeah.
her
Her self-esteem issues.
yeah,
Having not
her
having
not having a
hands.
hand. And then like once she gets a hand, having her surrogate dad issues with Kaburagi as he disappears. Like I felt like they did a good job of like presenting all of that. Um, they played like some good emotional moments of like seeing Pipe for the last time as we go off to kill all the Gadol and kill Pipe. Um, it was just like it was a good show that I think presented its two characters really well, and then it had a whole cast of like supporting characters that we didn't focus on as much, but hey, we really
They
didn't
were
need
all
to.
right. Like the
Yeah, they were all
commander's
good
good.
enough.
Um, uh,
Jill was entertaining.
Jill's
Donatello was good.
the one robot that dies is pretty good, and then the villainous robot is also pretty good too.
Right. So like everybody fills their like side character role pretty well. Um,
You know
yeah,
what?
it was just
I would say if
it
someone's
was.
looking for an original anime show that has no source material,
Mhm.
I would tell them to watch the show. I think.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah. I guess I would recommend it for someone who's just looking for something that doesn't like it's just an original show and just kind of ends. It's
right.
a complete narrative,
Yeah.
a nice little bite, basically.
What genre would you put it in?
Sci-fi,
Sci-fi.
like
Okay.
sci-fi. There's some action. It's not complete action.
Hmm.
Um, what are some other ones that it touches? I'm not sure what else. Sci-fi is a big genre. There's like a lot of
Right.
subcategories in sci-fi. Um,
Would you say adventure?
adventure.
Because it is them.
They do
Well,
like go
I mean,
through. They go through a lot. They go to a lot of areas. They do
right.
explore a couple of things. But like when I think adventure, usually like you leave your home and then go off to
Hmm.
do something else. In this case, like because of the way the show worked, you had to go back to Decadence all the time.
Right.
Um, but like
But Decadence was by itself inherently nomadic at the
yeah,
same time. But I can see
like
what you mean. Yeah.
just because you have to go back home doesn't mean like it's not an adventure. That's just the way I
Right.
think about it.
Hmm.
Um,
All right.
primarily sci-fi, primarily sci-fi, a mystery. Even though
'Cause
it's not,
I was thinking I would recommend it specifically to somebody who already likes other shows in this genre and, like you said, wants a complete narrative in this specific genre.
yeah, doesn't want to be told go read the manga after this is done because the story isn't finished.
Right. Because I don't know if people outside of this genre would really like it. Because like there is some stuff about it that just is weird, and maybe it's not like the best show, and there are some stuff that I wish they had done better or explained more. But I think in genre for a complete narrative, it's a good enough show. I would recommend it to somebody who likes sci-fi and wants a complete narrative.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, that is Decadence,
And now we have God of High School.
God of High School. God, how to nutshell this? Well, it's actually pretty easy, um, because it's fighting.
Right. So we
It's
have
just fighting.
we're fighting in the ring against the Nine-Tailed Fox.
19 Fox. And then I was right, Nick. He's Sun Wukong.
Yes,
Um,
right.
he's well, they call it Satan Taisei.
So, yeah, Satan Tyson.
Satan Tyson.
Satan Tyson. There we go.
Which is I
Um,
think the Japanese way of saying Sun Wukong.
yeah, at some point they have a little interstitial that's like the Monkey King, where I'm finally like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And he uses that power to beat the Nine-Tailed Fox, to beat the God Key,
mhm.
but just barely. And after that, things go to
Right.
shit.
We go to a hospital, and then the magician, who I kind of forgot about.
Not the magician, but the magician's kid,
Right, the magician's kid. I'm sorry.
grandson,
Yeah.
gets infected with something. He goes crazy. He goes
Right,
crazy.
he goes
and becomes a
crazy.
demon and
It,
tries to
it
kill.
envelops a whole bunch of people and tries to kill uh, Jail Tayak, or whatever his name was.
aka Guru's older brother.
Right.
And then
Oh, so first of all, fucking him and Ilpio should be in jail. They just should be in fucking jail. This is something that annoyed me last time, but I forgot to bring it up. Maybe I did, and I forgot that I brought it up, but I want to bring it up again. Those two, because they've had this flashback so many fucking times, should be in fucking jail.
where they're beating each other up.
Where he being jail, whatever his name is, Tayak, the shark dude.
Shark guy. Shark guy,
He broke the one lady's leg during that like martial arts tournament, but he broke it like so flagrantly after the whistle. Like he beat her, and then as she's laying on the ground injured, he just walks up and like curb stomps her shin and like fully destroys it. If you did that to somebody, they would lock you up and throw away the key. Cut to after the fight, Park Yo-Pyo like fucking corners him in the parking lot for some 5th round action, and just like beats the shit out of him and gets like taken in by the police and somehow walks out the same day.
Maybe he's on bail right now. Who knows?
Like those two should be in jail for aggravated assault.
How long is the sentence for that? I guess it depends. Well,
I guess it depends. I don't know how long it is in Korea.
Yeah. Maybe there's some special rule about the tournament. They get to beat up whoever they want for a little bit.
Right. I mean, the tournament did bring in that one convicted felon in the very beginning.
Right, yeah.
1. So, like, maybe they bailed them both out of jail, and they were like, come be in our tournament.
You guys are strong fighters. We just need to find out who the strongest is. I don't really care if you're, you can murder a man. That just means you're strong.
Convicted felons.
Nick, that means they're strong. They're tough. They've got what it takes.
But yeah, those two should be in jail.
Yes, them being felons aside. Shark guy.
So, the shark guy gets attacked by the demon magician kid.
And they start duking it out. All of a sudden, the fight gets pushed into the hospital area where Ilpio is staying at. And things just go fucking bonkers with the demon dude just eating fucking everyone up.
He absorbs Ilpio's two friends, and then vomits out his maid.
For some reason. And then Shark Guy just annihilates most of Shark Guy. And the hand of the girl? No. The guy.
No. It was, the arm of the guy and the leg of the
girl, yeah. And
Shark Guy like bites off the top half of the grandson.
Yep, and then Ilpio goes into a rage, and that's when we start the Ilpio versus Shark Guy fight. And that's super fucking wild, and it just goes all over the place.
Right. They pretty much immediately blast out of the hospital and then blast through like 4 buildings.
While that's happening, the Omega Guy is doing the same thing he did 2 episodes ago, where he's bringing down the Buddha again.
Where this time we could see it. Last time it was just like a shadowy figure. This time the shadow goes away and we can see that it is the Buddha. Which at some point opens up its face and it has an Oni mask all of a sudden.
I think it's supposed to be like Kali or some other kind of like I guess
okay, maybe.
I was thinking Hinduism.
But that was definitely not meshed with Buddhism.
Well, no,
which is what the Buddha was.
Well, the Buddha was Hindu though.
Right, but Buddhism is separate from Hinduism.
But like that mask looked like one of like the other like mythology Indian masks that I've seen before. Like it looks like the Vamana skin mask from Smite. Yeah. So I've seen that like those crooked fangs and that blue face before.
Right. So it may just be like a myth thing, like a culture myth thing.
But he's bringing that down, and Devil Guy is doing the same thing and stops it with his hand.
Right.
So that's basically what's going on with them.
So this also leads into the reason why villains always fucking lose is the two of them are standing there next to each other. And like Omega Dude just brings down, like opens up the gate and brings down the Buddha. And then he's just standing there. His God Hand is like doing his God Hand thing to prevent it from falling. They're just standing next to each other. Like Omega Dude should just walk over to him and like shank him in the kidneys 97 times.
He's got quite a long time to do this. Eventually he starts to do it, but at that point it's too late, and one of the two of the other sixes just show up and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But
like they were standing there in that street side by side for several minutes with no one showing up, and the dude didn't do anything. Like if I was him, you just walk over there, even if you don't have a knife, just punch him in the kidneys a whole bunch to fuck with him. But no, he just lets that happen. He just lets God Hand hold up the Buddha for a really long
He
time.
jerks off about the key for a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's a callback to this, Nick, wherein at the end of the last episode, he's literally standing at the final fight in the same position for the entire time.
Yes.
So
he's just so surprised.
I guess so. This kid is the worst. This kid is the stupidest fucking villain ever.
Yeah.
Just standing there.
He just stands there and watches as things happen around him with his arm outstretched a lot of the time.
But eventually, Ilpio fucking takes it a lot from Shark Guy, who is part like other shark thing.
Yeah, demon shark thing. He has like a second Charbiok, I guess, of the famished or whatever the fuck they were called.
Impoverished.
The impoverished. There we go.
No, well, maybe the shark thing is the impoverished, just its mouth.
But why? Like, it is a shark, though. Like, we've seen that it is a shark some of the time.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know.
So I was assuming that they were like two separate things. Like, he had the shark thing, but he also had the impoverished thing.
But like, he never calls the shark thing anything.
It's true, but he never really calls the impoverished. He
says the impoverished, then we get the little title line.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah.
I knew we got the title line before he says it, but I guess yeah, he does. He may say it again.
I'm pretty sure he did. I might actually be wrong, but I think he does say it. He does call to it, just like the other characters do.
Maybe you're right. I think you might be right. I think the second or third time he brings it up, he actually does call to it. Because I remember the first time it shows up, it just has the title card of like the impoverished, and they just like the zombie things like show up. But I think the second or third time he breaks it, he does say like, "You're gonna get eaten by the impoverished" or some shit like that.
But eventually, because the key's a real thing apparently, and not like a person.
Yeah, it's not just like a concept; it is a thing.
It pops out,
and it comes out of Ilpio. So it's just like in the world now. So predictably, the angel things that also get summoned in addition to the Buddha. We didn't talk about those, but he also summons the angels from fuck, what was it called? The mech show that we watched. Fuck.
What? The angel things?
Yeah,
Evangelion?
from Evangelion. Yeah, it was the fucking angels from End of Evangelion, basically.
Oh, the little bird thing. I don't know. Yeah, I guess birds because they were flocking around. But like, oh my god, there's just so much fucking shit that happened.
Yeah.
Not happen in terms of story, but just things we saw.
Yes.
Fly around on the screen.
A whole bunch of those show up, so they like snatch the key at some point, but then they get beaten up. But then the thing that takes it gets beaten up. It somehow it goes to like 4 or 5 people.
At some point, our hero gets it.
Yes.
At some point, Jin grabs it.
Jin Tae-jin, yeah.
And then the U.S. decides to nuke Korea.
Correct. Which definitely would not go over well with other Korea or all of Russia and China. Like, the U.S. just can't casually launch a whole bunch of nukes and nobody else like does anything about it. But anyways, they do. They launch a whole bunch of nukes and nobody does anything about it.
I mean, I think North Korea wouldn't care because Seoul's really close to North Korea, so never mind.
Yeah. And also, I don't know like how good North Korea would be about predicting like where those nukes are gonna land. Like they would just see a whole bunch of nukes get launched and be like, fire the one that we have.
They just tweet out, don't worry, it's going to Seoul, not to North Korea. And they believed it. But the nukes are going to, I think they're in Seoul, but they get launched into Korea to destroy the Buddha.
Yeah.
So Devil Guy transports them, them being the kids, the fighters, and Shark Guy, for some reason. I think he may have just been in the circle, to the Holy Realm. I don't know where that is. It's just there. It's just
also somehow brings Lady Bruce Lee with them. We don't know how or why she ends up there, but she does.
Wait, what? She is?
Yeah. She finds the girl at the very end.
Oh my god! But we didn't see her. Did we see her get transported?
No, but she's there.
Okay. So I'm
assuming they're still in the Holy Realm at the end of all. And that's
so that's where
the girl was in the Holy Realm.
Left somewhere.
Oh, I was assuming that was in the Holy Realm.
I guess that makes sense. Because she does mention, why is this girl in the Holy Realm?
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't, for sure, we didn't fucking see that shit go in there, though.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's beside the point. Something they should have shown us, because that confused the fuck out of me.
Yeah, she just shows up there, like in a cave in the middle of nowhere.
Are we in the second to last episode yet? Because I don't know where the episodes ended and where they started anymore.
Oh, that is a good question. I don't. Ooh, I think we are. I think we're in the second to last.
They go into the Holy Realm. They fight it out a bit. Shark Guy's really strong.
Meanwhile, the magician, the actual magician, shows up and teleports everyone else outside of the city,
and then
except
turns
for
the nukes
himself.
into a Greco style thing that's a bigger than the
Yeah,
Buddha, and then summons a meteor.
and it summons a meteor because he calls it the wedge to pierce the god. I didn't look up what it was like a Greco-Roman bust combination thing of. I was kind of hoping it was gonna be like philosophers and shit, like notable atheists, where it was like he was going to be destroying the Buddha, like destroying the
Yeah,
god
like
with like
God
logic
Killer.
and atheism. I thought that would have been like a weird but good joke of how to destroy the
I think
god.
it was just like the David and some other bullshit like that.
I think so, but still, he destroys it with like art and shit, and a meteor,
And then everything blows up.
and everything blows up, and he presumably dies, and
He's
somehow
dead.
Omega
He's fucking dead.
doesn't. He's dead, but Omega somehow survives, even
And
though the fact that they were standing all of like 5 feet away from each other.
and he's actually just now he's standing there in the same position, just with his hands out.
Yeah,
So
and he
forget about him,
remains
'cause
there
that's
for the
what he
rest of ever.
Yeah, for the rest of ever. But that also destroys.
Meanwhile, we're in the Holy Realm.
That destroys
with,
the whole realm.
Oh yeah,
Kind of.
It opens up the Holy Realm.
So they get out. Jin loses the key, and what's his face? The shark guy is able to grab it,
Yeah.
and then he becomes turns into a baby, and then becomes God.
He eats their key and becomes God, which is essentially himself, but sounds slightly different and has wings now and whitish hair.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Lucifer type stand-in.
Yeah, basically.
So now they're fighting. He's beating the shit out of them, and I think that's when the episode ends. And then the last episode starts where Jin becomes Sun Wukong,
The Monkey King.
Monkey King, is able to duke it out with him after the. Did I call it? I don't remember if I called it with the staff coming in. I think
You might have.
I think I said he'd use the staff at some point.
I think he did.
Or maybe I was just talking about Sun Wukong and how he used the staff and didn't say it would happen. Anyways, he gets the staff. It actually works.
He brings out the staff from Sky.
Staff get
I
longer.
don't really see where. Staff get longer. Staff gets smaller. Staff get longer again as we ride it. He does like the Samwise Gamgee. This is for my friends. This is for my other friends. He doesn't do the "this is for me" thing. I thought if he did, that would have been a perfect Samwise Gamgee moment. But he beats the crap out of the dude as the Monkey King. He does like Pikachu Thunderbolt 17 times.
Is able to win, but that's not the end yet because he becomes like this.
He becomes the thing from the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he becomes the thing, and has like 6 people out of him, and they're like, it's a gnarly motherfucker trying to get the key back. Him and the friends all beat it up. They win. They freeze it and then blow it up.
Right. There's a moment where they like have a fight with the thing and they play a song in the background that is neither the opening nor the ending, but is way better than the opening and just should be the opening the whole time.
I like that song.
Which really fucking annoyed me.
That was a good song.
I liked the song because it was a good enough song. It didn't fit with the tone of the show at all or what was happening, but it was way better than the opening and therefore should have just been the opening.
I think if it was the opening, it would have made it feel like an actual end of season fight. More,
yeah,
it was the end of season fight, but it would have given it that tropiness that
right that they did in Decadence. We didn't bring it up, but they did that in Decadence.
Did they? Actually didn't notice.
Yeah, they did it while they were while they were summoning the giant spear, and then they launched it, and then they did like the super launch to push it all the way through. As like we did like the overcoming adversities and used what I'm assuming was the bug in the Decadence to do like the second push with no fuel. They were doing the opening the whole time. Yeah.
Anyways,
they should have been using the opening, but the opening sucks. They didn't. They made a new song for it, and that new song just should have been the opening the whole fucking time.
Anyways, they beat the thing.
They beat the thing because one of the people inside of the thing was the magician, so he uses his like magician magic to turn it into stone so that they're able to break it.
I thought they
that was the whole thing.
So that ends. Out comes the witch, and she asks for a wish, and Jin's like, "Fix my friends, because one doesn't have a leg and an arm anymore, so fix them. Well, fix everyone who's been hurt." Right. So here's the thing: he says, "Fix everyone who's been hurt in this fight," but she also fixes the other lady.
Yeah, she fixes the lady who got hurt by him way in the beginning. I was
thinking
he was gonna phrase it as like, "Fix everyone who's been hurt by that guy," so that he could like encompass everybody.
That would have made sense. Maybe that's what it's meant, but like it didn't. It got lost in translation.
Maybe.
Anyways, everyone gets fixed. Jin doesn't know where his grandfather is yet, and then he passes out for 2 months. And then we get that plot where they're just kind of eating.
Yeah. Jin wakes up. They decide they have to go to where the Monkey King is from, to China, but they just say where the Monkey King is from. because Jin's power is locked somehow,
Sealed.
sealed. Yeah, they don't ever explain why they know that or how it's been sealed or anything
No,
else.
they say the witch says it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they say the witch says that you got sealed, so we have to go to China to
Yeah.
some stuff, do some stuff.
So he has to go learn how to become the Monkey King. The
Uh,
other two have to train to be less shitty than they are.
to become actual gods, unlike the gods they just saw fight.
Right.
Ilpio is out finding the Dragon Ball pieces.
Yep.
Um,
The Omega dude ran away at the last second of the fight that happened. Like after it ended, he just pieced out. So they're still alive and being a thing. We're setting up for the presidential election in South Korea,
where the
where
white-haired guy is going to become the president, maybe.
possibly
So that's also.
there was also like an ominous shot of the yellow-haired guy, and we know that there was a mole inside of the organization. So maybe it was the yellow-haired guy who was the mole.
Okay, I was wondering why I was going towards him because I didn't know who he was.
He was just another one of the directors, but we never really like. I think he showed up very briefly in the beginning. I think he was one of the ones who recruited one of like the main three. I forget which one. Maybe it was Jin. I know he wants to fight his, so it would make sense if he was.
Yeah.
If Yellowhair recruited Jin and then betrayed them so that Jin could fight him. But yeah, so I'm assuming the reason we like cut to him weirdly clapping in the audience while they were doing like the handshake before the presidential election because I'm assuming he's the mole.
Yeah, that would make sense. And then we get some other stuff about the Six, but who really cares about that? A lot of this is go read the manhwa. Manhwa?
Yeah.
Manhwa.
Yeah.
So, Jesus Christ, there was a lot.
There was so much fighting, and I did not care a lot of the time. Was the sad part about it?
I didn't care. So while I wasn't invested in the fighting, I still loved it just because it was such a massive spectacle. It was just so fucking wild.
Okay, this is something that I intended to go back and watch, but I didn't. I didn't watch either of the Boruto fight that is really well done, or the One Punch Man ending. I was gonna watch the One Punch Man ending because I feel like it's a very fast motion-y fight, whereas like the Boruto one, I feel like there's a little bit more like running around.
Very similar to the fights that happened in this episode, or in these 3 episodes, or pieces of it.
Right. But like I felt like in these fights, a lot of the time, parts of the fight were happening off screen. Like it was happening half on, half off. Where like you would see somebody like you would see Jin with the Monkey King staff, and like he would swing it, and he would connect with him, but with Shark Guy, but Shark Guy was like off screen, so like, you would just hear it like connect with something off screen, and like I felt like that happened a lot with punches would get thrown or like the staff thing would come into play, and like it just never felt like it connected. And this brings back something that we talked about last time when I finally found a way to talk about the reason why I didn't like the fighting in the show was that it just never feels satisfying in the way that we talked about Megalobox, like how satisfying the combat in Megalobox felt.
The punching and the actual hits people take.
None of this had that same feeling of like weight to them, or like you actually understand like how people are getting like hit and punched and like actually like worn down in a fight. It just did not feel as satisfying, and like that was a lot of these 3 episodes where just like punches would get thrown and really cool things would happen and like it just never really felt like anybody was actually getting hit, you know?
I would say pieces of the fighting did feel like that, but from what I remember with Jin fighting God, it felt like those hits really hurt. Same thing with Ilpio fighting him when he didn't become God, when he was just impoverished. I felt like those two, like you could actually feel it better than the one where it was Ilpio versus Jin. So I actually felt like those fights were pretty good.
Ilpio versus Shark Guy you thought was good, and Sun Wukong versus
I thought
God.
both of them were still good. There were other pieces or other like sections of the fighting, like Jin versus the Shark Guy, in the second to last episode we watched. That one was a little bit disconnected. There were pieces that were okay, but for the most part, like a lot of the punches, didn't have a connection that would really make you like feel like there was a big punch. The way that I know usually One Punch Man does it is by like having in fighting games where you have like the stop frames, they would do that, and then everything would go to white. And One Punch Man is fantastic, where like all those punches were just so fucking crazy.
Right. Well, I was still going to go back and watch the last one because it was the one with the most actual Saitama versus someone else
Actual
fighting.
fighting,
Yeah.
where it's just not one big punch. Um, I don't think the fights are similar because in this one they focus more on the speed of everything rather than the actual
Hmm.
strength. There is speed in One Punch Man, but there's also a lot of explosive, like single explosive moments where this is just
Right.
a constant motion of just things going wild.
Hmm.
Um, and overall, I did like it. It was a spectacle that I really loved watching because it was just so fucking crazy. Like the fact that nukes got shot and then it got turned into this big fucking art piece that killed Boot God, and then the meteor came out of fucking nowhere. Wild, absolutely wild. Didn't mean anything. Didn't mean jack
Right. Exactly.
shit,
Yeah.
but
Uh huh.
fucking wild. I loved it. So in my opinion, this is kind of the opposite of how I felt with some of the One Hero fights. Sorry, not One Hero. I mean, the My Hero Academia fights, where
Hmm.
those fights they almost always mean something. Like it's so pinnacle to the story. Like the um, all for one versus the
Oh yeah,
All Might
all that
versus
stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like
I know what you mean.
I didn't like the actual fight itself, but what it represents in the story is just so fucking important because it's just a massive turning point. It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like that in this show, but
Uh
god damn, was it just so. It was just so fun to just lay back and
huh.
watch things just blow up and go crazy, and watch a guy get a fucking staff and then turn it into a massive fucking pillar.
Right.
But
So.
like, so my biggest problem with everything was if this guy was the last boss in this show, he should
Mhm.
have been built up better. Because we get like one little piece of his motivation in second to last episode, and it gets repeated in the last episode. But like, I didn't give a shit. Like, why the fuck did
Yeah.
this guy want to become God? Why did he like turn on the cult? Like, why? Why?
Yeah. So that is basically a running critique I have of this whole show is why any of this. Like we had the whole cult thing where you talked about we summoned God and destroyed it with a statue and a meteor and it looked really cool and it was fucking amazing and like all this, it was cool to watch. Why the fuck was it happening? What the fuck is going on? Like what is other than we understand that the cult doesn't want God to get killed and God Hand wants to kill God. Like
Well,
outside of
Do we
those
know
two
the
things,
cult wants that because they wanted the key to end the world?
yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
that's
I'm
also a
just
good
so
point.
confused. Like, I'm just,
Yeah,
what the fuck's going on?
yeah. So like, there's a lot of just why any of this at all
They
to begin with.
needed much better motivation for the different sides.
Yes.
Like so, because right now, from what we can see, there's about four sides to it. There's our main trio who are just kind of along for the ride, so they're one side.
Right.
There's the devil guy who's kind of aligned with the main trio, um, and he wants to keep the key. Um, so
To
so
kill God for reasons unknown.
we don't know if he wants to kill God. So the way I understood, so after the whole show had ended, the way I understood it was, let's ignore the trio for now. The devil guy wants to keep the key because the key is there in order to keep God in check. So that's what the six want, is to keep everything in check. The cult wants the world to end through way of God. They want to summon God, and they want the key out of the hands of the six because that lets God live. And then we've
Mm.
got the other side, which is the angel or the shark guy, who just maybe wants power. Um,
Yes, baby.
right, but like they were kind of aligned with the cult, but then like they didn't want to help them. It was a little
Right.
weird. So that's still you still could have had those three main sides, but have focus on the shark guy and show us that he's like a sociopath and like just wants power because he has this massive inferiority complex. So he has his own arc, kind of like what happens when oh wait, you didn't watch it, but in God, fuck, the Avengers, the third Avengers movie. Oh god, the one with Thanos, Infinity War,
Infinity War.
where it's a piece of the story is the villain going through his own arc, trying to get his own goal, which is to become powerful, and then he
Hmm.
finally does it, and now our heroes have to beat like this massive fucking figure, and we actually care about it because we know he wants this almighty power because he wants to feel like he wants to rule everyone or something like that, right?
Hmm.
Um, but we didn't really get that. He just kind of like Gil. He's just kind of evil,
Yeah.
and he just kind of gets shoved at the last half of the show.
Yep. So in terms of the fights, I felt like the Ilpio Jin fight was very unsatisfying in my opinion. The
Oh,
Jin's win felt unearned.
yes. So something I would have liked to see happen was they kind of show this in the fight where, while Ilpio is using his Charbok, he's having issues with it because Jin says, "Hey, are you in pain?" And Ilpio like kind of waves it off like, "No, I'm fine." I think what the fight should have been is Jin on the defensive because he knows that Ilpio can't keep it up. So now it's a battle of attrition where he just needs to stay up long enough for Ilpio just to basically just pass out from his power.
Right.
Think that would have been more satisfying. Like he still gets some Wukong help, but only to stay on the defensive, not to become even stronger than Ilpio, who's now God,
Right.
and now he just wins. That was just a little upsetting.
The fact that Jin just sort of pulled out like a bullshit power up to his opponent's power up level to win the fight didn't feel great. I was thinking that Jin should lose actually, because one, I don't think we ever saw Jin lose in the whole of the show.
Yeah.
I don't think Jin ever loses. Two, it didn't actually matter if Jin lost because it was best of 3 and they won the first round.
Right, and also the God of High School. So also another reason why it doesn't matter. God of High School just ends after.
Yeah, God of High School tournament just ends. So like even if they lost the tournament and like they were kicked out, didn't matter. Tournament was over. They were never. They're like it just ended in the semifinals.
He should have lost. So another way that this could have worked if he lost is he should have lost, and in like while he's down, that's when he like starts seeing the Sun Wukong visions, and then it comes back at the end where he's finally trying to get more and more power after having just lost and having seen Ilpio lose. He now needs to unlock that power to win against a common enemy, the god, basically, Lucifer.
So that was an unsatisfying fight because I felt that Jin should lose, or at the very least not have had like a bullshit power up to reach god level. Weirdly,
air.
Yeah. So that felt shitty. I agree that the first Ilpio versus Shark Guy fight did feel meaty because it was very one-sided. It was a very one-sided beatdown, which they were trying to do because they were trying to draw an obvious illusion, which they just straight up just showed you the fucking flashback again, which I kind of hated.
They didn't have to do that. It was very obvious.
It was very obvious that they were doing an allusion to the beatdown in the street. But it was super one-sided, so like all the punch felt meaty because it was literally just him going hammer time on that dude's face. What was the next big fight? All of the Day and Mira versus Lucifer guy happens off screen.
Yeah. The first Lucifer or Lucifer God?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Pre-Lucifer, but with impoverished. Because he breaks out the impoverished, and we see that he's got like the devil mouth on his stomach at that point.
Yeah, and then he just basically bitch slaps Daemir, and they get knocked out.
Yeah. So
the next fight is kind of Jin versus pre-Lucifer Shark Guy, but I don't remember it too much because I think it happens very quickly. Like it's not a very long fight.
Right. I think it's just sort of more. The Shark Guy beats enough of the crap out of Jin to knock the key out of him, and then he eats the key.
Yeah.
Was basically that fight. Then we have the one-sided beatdown of Lucifer on Jin pre-Monkey King, which then awakens the Monkey King. Then there is a brief moment of like it's sort of more even, which is the point where I said like a lot of the fight happens kind of off screen, like half on screen, half off screen, which just didn't feel satisfying to watch in my opinion because like you're only watching half of the fight. You're not actually seeing like any of the blows actually connect. They're connecting with the edge of your screen, which felt kind of shitty. It does then turn into the very one-sided Monkey King beatdown, or I'm sorry, the one-sided beatdown on Lucifer by Monkey King Jin, which did feel satisfying because it was a fucking beatdown again. So we got to see like super meaty punches getting connected with like no guard up.
Yes.
And you could feel the dude taking damage because like he was just getting his face pounded in.
And then the last fight was the Thing versus the Crew.
Oh, right. At that point, I was thinking more about the song and less about the fight. I'll be real.
Oh, the fight was actually pretty okay. I liked it. There was a lot.
I kind of remember it being good enough.
Yeah, I like the song. I like the song.
Yeah, I remember thinking that like the visuals of them fighting the Thing was good enough where like it could be part of the opening because it was all of them like showcasing their powers in some way. And like it showcased it in a way that was like good enough to be like an opening where like you see Mira and then she summons Lu Bu, and you see Day and he does like the water thing, and you see the Nine-Tailed Fox guy
of water
under healing waters. Um, and we see Fox guy, and he comes up and does some like Nine-Tailed Fox 100 March of Demons thing, or the Night of the 100 Demons. And then like they like tag team launch Jin Mori as Sun Wukong to do like some Sun Wukong shit. So like it was very good. Like, you know, everyone showcases just a little bit of their power while like an opening plays in the background sort of scene, and they defeat like sort of an amorphous looking enemy. So it would have been a good opening. That whole sequence would have worked as a good opening. Was all that I was really thinking about. But I guess yeah, it was a good enough. It was a good enough fight scene. Uh, but yeah, it was. So it was two good fight scenes, two well drawn fight scenes, and then 2.5 less good fight scenes. We also did skip over the whole demon thing, but it wasn't really a fight scene. It was just sort of a
I would say
demon
that was a
shows
fight.
up, a lot of rooms get destroyed, a couple of people get eaten, and then it's over.
Yeah.
Um,
So overall, I would give the show a 2 out of 5. Big story issues,
mhm.
but goddamn, like I can't talk about how much fun I had watching it. I regardless of how good the show was, I really enjoyed just being there.
Okay.
I wish it would have been better. Like I wish the villain was cooler. Well, because like the villain's design was I think pretty cool, but like
Mhm.
I didn't care about him. I wanted
Yeah.
him. I wanted to hate the villain because he was just a really cool, cruel, bad character, kind of like the way you hate
Mhm.
Homelander. Um, but like he was just evil and kind of showed up to be to do evil things in the last half of the episode of the show.
Yeah.
Um, and you didn't really care about him, which really
Yeah.
sucked.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I would
and
agree.
and
I
so
would.
yeah,
I would say.
motivations are weird and like it's hard to kind of track sometimes.
Mhm.
Day basically has nothing to do.
Yep.
Mira kind of got fixed a little bit. Um, Jin's wanting to look for his grandfather was a side story,
Basically.
despite the fact that it was his main motivation. Um, so things needed to be a bit more streamlined.
Mhm.
I don't know how much of it was because it's an adaptation and they wanted to get to these cool fights. Um, and of course, we're only talking about the show. I haven't read
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that is a good point to bring
Uh,
up. We have not read. Neither of us have read the actual written work at all, so we don't know how much they skipped. We don't
yeah.
know, what was presented in the actual written story. So I don't know if there was more backstory given that we didn't see. We were just going off what we saw in the anime.
Overall, had its issues with the story and characters.
Mhm.
I liked most of the music. I thought fit just fine, and I kind of liked bop into it every once in a while. I don't remember tracks exactly, but there's a couple that I did pick up on. Visuals, even though you might disagree for the entire show, I thought were usually pretty good. Um, I like the fights, um, and like the characters we see are kind of interesting, like face value. But we don't really get really into them as much as we do in like other shows like Naruto or Bleach.
Mhm.
And part of that is because it's 13 episodes long.
Yeah,
But overall, subpar show. Goddamn fun to watch. I loved it.
that's fair. I would say like a 3 out of 10. I would give it. Like you referenced, I didn't really care for a lot of the visuals in the show. Some of the fights were good. A lot of them were subpar, in my opinion. I feel like narratively it had a lot of struggles. There was a lot of stuff that they didn't explain. There was a lot of stuff that I just didn't care about at some point. As we rolled around to like the 8th, 9th, 10th episode, like the entire cult shit, we weren't explaining it. It wasn't really going anywhere, and like resoundingly didn't give a shit about what was happening. Like all of the whole episode where there was just dealing with like a fight that the directors were having in that apartment was a whole episode that I just did not give a fucking shit about. Like it just happened. It was an episode, and I did not care because it didn't advance what I felt was the main plot, which was our three main characters with
Yeah, going
Jin,
through the
Day, and Mira.
tournament.
Yeah. So I felt like it was very distracted, very like it was trying to go all over the place and touch a whole bunch of different storylines and wasn't focusing on the core storyline that I felt like they should have. Again, this could be just an
Adaptation
adaptation
issue.
thing where like in the work, because it's a lot longer, I know that it has like 200 or 300 chapters apparently. So like maybe in the adaptation this is all like paced out in a way that like it feels a little bit better, and they just take their time getting through these storylines so like more about it and you do feel like more connected to all of these characters. But as it stands, like the only characters I really gave a shit about were our main three, and so I didn't really care about like anything that's happening to the directors. So I didn't care about any of those scenes. Um, but yeah, it was I mean, it was at times in certain moments, in certain fights, it looked good. It was a good fighting show. I just think it was a fighting show that's been done better by other shows.
Okay.
So I just can't rate it highly in terms of like super powered fighting shows. I just think it is below average.
I would describe this show as being Dragon Ball Z, is if the whole show was condensed into 13 episodes. Because we go from Super Saiyan in the first episode to Super Saiyan God in 12 episodes.
Oh, I disagree. We were not Super Saiyan in the first episode. We were barely Kaioken in the first episode.
Okay, so anyway, so it even proves my point even more. We're Kaioken in the first episode to Super Saiyan God in the last.
Yeah.
The power just ramps up. It's like the COVID infection rate. It just kept going up and up and up, faster and faster and faster.
Yeah. And it kind of ties into like one of the complaints I had of like at times it just sort of felt unearned. Like we just sort of had like huge jumps in power out of nowhere. It felt like where like everyone else got stronger, so all of a sudden our characters just got stronger, and like there wasn't a like training arc or like them having to like go off and do things. Like Jin gets the whole like acupuncture thing that he does, where like he can like unlock the gates. All of that happens off screen. He like meets the dude and learns all of that in the space of an off-screen moment in an episode. In a single episode, he learns all that. Yeah. Like, it just... At times, the growth in power of our characters felt a little bullshit. The only one, I think, whose growth in power felt earned was Mira. Because we see her get her ass kicked in the ring for, like, a full episode.
She struggles and earns it.
Yeah. I didn't like other parts of Mira. Mira's whole like getting married in the third episode or whatever it was. I complained about that whole episode, and I still think it was like a stupid fucking episode, and was essentially pointless. Now that we know the whole storyline, that episode just was pointless.
I think it could have been like a fourth of an episode condensed.
Yeah, but it did lead to at the very end with Mira in the ring getting her ass kicked, and then awakening Lu Bu was the most earned the power up it ever felt in that whole show, and it was great.
Maybe Dai's power up might be better. His power up is like, hey, I can water bend for a little bit now.
Yeah, I trained with the Joker dude. Now I can water bend kind of and heal people.
He's the Sakura of the trio now.
Basically, I mean, he basically is. He punches stuff really hard and can heal things.
But those were our shows. Those were our 3 shows.
Yeah.
Certainly, we've had far worse seasons. I wonder when we're gonna have our next worst season. Like, it's just a season where we're just like, wow, this is.
Oh wow, it'll be a while. I mean, we've
gotten better at choosing shows that are at least.
Yeah, we got better at choosing shows. We also really had some down seasons because we picked shows intentionally that didn't look good, hoping for either a dark horse or a show that was so bad it came back around to being good.
It only worked twice.
Killing Bites and
Megalobox.
Okay.
Not because we didn't think it was good, but because it didn't have a lot of hype going into it.
I was thinking you were going to say Domestic no Kanojo. Domestic no Kanojo looked bad and did come around to being good.
I don't think it was good. I just think it was all bad. I just
Domestic no Kanojo?
Yeah.
Domestic no Kanojo. I mean, it came around to being good in the way of like good to make fun of. Like it became.
Oh, yeah.
It became a soap opera, and therefore it was hilarious.
Killing Bites, but with soap operas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So
like Killing Bites and Domestic no Kanojo were bad, but because of ABC and like the fact that we were able to talk about them, the show as a experience came around to being good. The show was never good. I want to state that on record. But as an experience, it came around to being good.
It didn't come around to me to being good. Like I always kind of. Me and Alex were all in on it. Episode 1.
I hated it to begin with.
But anyway,
I hated it to begin with. I always thought Megalobox was going to be good. There was never a time where I thought it was going to be bad. I
didn't think it was going to be bad either. I just thought, not a lot of hype. Let's see what this is. Maybe it's a show that deserves more than it's getting for. And then it turned out to be super popular towards the third, fourth episode as it started to pick up.
Yeah,
through word of mouth. But that's the season. Season of spring. No, it's not spring. It's summer now.
Summer.
Very
very mediocre season altogether, but yeah, like you said, wasn't our worst.
Wasn't the best, but enjoyed all of them regardless.
Yeah, they were good
fun.
enough.
I had fun. 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 I had Thanks for. Oh wait, we need to. It's been a while since we've done this. Nick,
Yep.
what would you like to sell out to today?
So today I'm going to sell it to a band called the Philharmonic. Philharmonic is spelled mostly like the way you would expect it to be, except for it ends with a K instead of a C. But they're just they're an interesting little group. They do rap and R&B in a very
Classical music?
mm,
Because
not classical music.
Philharmonic is like a
Yeah, it's like
type
a
of.
symphony thing.
Okay.
Um, or it's another way of saying symphony. Essentially, it's the fancier way of saying it.
Okay.
It's music done in like a very it's hard to describe. Not lyrical, but like songwritery style. Like they sound more like songs in like a
Melodic.
melodic, I guess. It's a very unique style, and I really
Okay.
like it. So I am selling out to the
Philharmonic.
Philharmonic.
Oh no, that'd be a
Ending
cute.
with a
That'd be a QUE.
yeah. It just ends with a K, so it's just Philharmonic with a K.
Nick, you gotta put some more K in it. Philharmonic.
Philharmonic.
Yep.
It's
Have,
the Philharmonic, and yeah, I'm selling out to them.
have we
They're a great band, artist, whatever they are, but I really like them. So
have,
shout out to them.
have we sold out to the boys? I think we have.
I don't know, maybe.
Fuck it, I'll sell out to the boys season 2. It's a great fucking show. I loved it. I mentioned Homelander because he's a great written villain, along with Stormfront. Spoiler: she's a villain. If you couldn't fucking guess. Um, it's just such. While some like movies have tried to do this take on villains, or not villains, but on superheroes before, where they're like kind of dicks, or while why superheroes wouldn't be that great, I think The Boys is doing it the best. And it's taking a lot of contemporary issues and then adding them into the show in a way that doesn't feel forced. Um, it kind of feels like South Park, where they're like, it seems like they're tackling current issues, even though this was uh, 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 like filmed like a year ago, and it
Yeah.
still seems relevant. But great fucking show. It's amazing.
Mhm.
I love all the characters, and even though they're fucking evil and awful, God, you just love to hate them. It's just so
It's
fucking
true.
good. Like these are villains that I wanted to see in some of these shows.
Yes.
Goddamn, loved it so much. So yeah, go watch the Boys season 2.
hmm
Great show.
And season 1, watch it all.
Oh, and season 1. Yes, you can't really watch season 2 without watching season 1.
Yep. So thanks for being here. Thanks for another season.
Yep.
Uh,
We'll be back in 2-ish weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
so yeah. I had another outro for this episode, but I've forgotten it. So instead, I'll just go with the words of Key and Peele for this one. It's been real and it's been good, but it ain't been real good.